everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kara and today's video is actually going to be my first one of 2022. I feel like everyone says this, but I cannot believe how quickly the years are going by and that 2021 is already over. For those of you that have watched some of my past videos, you'll know that a lot of my content is about real estate or about Asheville, and I'm definitely going to continue that through this year. But I wanted to start out this year by talking about goal planning. I think that this is such an important thing to really nail down. Whether your goal is to save more money to purchase a home, or maybe read more books this year, take some online courses, get outside more, try something new, whatever your goal is, this video is definitely going to be for you. So in today's video, I'm going to share all of the ways that I figure out what my goals are and how I break them down into smaller steps that I can accomplish day to day, week to week, month to month, and even year to year. So let's get right into it. So in years past, when I've thought about goal planning and planning out my day, I've purchased fancy planners and I've tried all these different fancy techniques, and I found that I would stick with them for maybe a month or so, but then I would kind of fall off and it was difficult to keep with it. So I found a method that really works for me, and it's kind of based around the bullet journal method, if you've heard of that, but it is a little bit different. So all that I use is just a blank notebook. So like this is the one that I used in 2021, and it's just, I'll find some blank pages, but it's just lined pages. There's nothing special about it. It was just a blank lined page notebook. And what I do before the start of each new year is I think about what goals I want to achieve. The best way to figure out what your goals are is to separate them into 3 different sections. The first one being wealth. So this could be something, like I said earlier, like saving up for a house. Maybe you need to save up $30,000. You know, that would be one of your goals. Save $30,000 towards purchasing a home. Maybe you want to start getting into investing or starting your own business. Any sort of monetary goal or business goal would really fit in here. I'll give you a couple examples. So for me personally, one of my goals for 2022 is to gross $80,000 in real estate income. Another one of my goals is to hit 500 subscribers on YouTube. Of course, it's not that big of a deal if I don't actually hit these goals, but they are ones that I want to strive for. The next set of goals is going to be based around self-improvement. So think of things like waking up at a certain time or getting a certain number of hours of sleep each day, exercising, eating healthier. I'll give you a couple of mine as an example. So ideally, I would love to wake up at 7:30 every day, exercise, and then meditate. My goal is also to drink 60 ounces of water each day, turn technology off at 10:30, read each night, and be in bed by 11:30. I will let you know that I am a big habit tracker, so definitely don't be discouraged by the amount of goals that I have. It's just something that I really enjoy doing. And I try not to beat myself up too much if I don't actually achieve these things. Think of them more as ideal life goals. So on a perfect day, what would you want to achieve? I classically am a workaholic, and I'm trying to kind of scale that back and give myself a little bit more time for fun. Which actually leads me into the third topic, which is enjoyment. So think of enjoyment as naturally anything that you find fun, anything that you want to make more of a habit. So this could be something like getting outside more, meeting up with a friend at least once a week or once a month. I feel like a lot of times when we think of goals, we think about business goals and how much money can I make, how much harder can I work. And while, you know, I did have some goals in there that were wealth-based, I put as much weight into the enjoyment goals as well. I find them equally important. Some of my goals for this year are to get outside, hike once a month, watch the sunset once a month, get creative, whether that be through coloring or painting or drawing, anything like that, and also exploring 4 times in the year. So something I really want to do is, as opposed to saving up for a really big trip, I want to kind of separate it into some smaller trips, maybe 4-day weekend trips, and really just enjoy life more. Because I think if you are just working all the time and burning yourself out, as I did last year, life just isn't fun. So it's really, really crucial to have these enjoyment goals as well, especially if you tend to be a workaholic like myself. So once you've gone through these 3 categories, I want you to start thinking about which goals you're going to work on each day, each week, each month, quarter, year, because then what we're going to do is separate each goal into a habit tracker based on the frequency with which you want to track it. At the end of each month, I like to prepare my planner for the next month and get all my habit tracking ready. So let's go ahead and do this together for January. So for the first couple pages of my monthly planner, I like to have a daily tracker. So on the left-hand side of the page, I write down the days of the month, 1 through 30, 1 through 31, whatever it is. And then at the top, I have different columns. So on mine, you'll see that I have wake up at 7:30, exercise, meditate, and various other tasks that I want to accomplish each day. Also keep in mind that if you start this out in January and you think, wow, I am tracking way too many things, I just can't keep up with all this, totally feel free to edit as you go and modify for the next month. So for each day, I'll go ahead and make a check mark for whatever items I have completed, and it's also a good way to see what you still need to do throughout the day. Moving on to the next page in our journal, I write down my weekly goals. So on the left-hand side, I write down each weekly goal, and then I have a column for each week. So it's very similar to the daily tracking in the sense that it's a table. It's just on a weekly basis. So right below the weekly goals, I have my monthly goals, and I keep this pretty simple. I write out each monthly goal, and then next to it, I write a checkbox. The next page of the journal is kind of up to you what you want to do with it. I personally track my water because I notoriously am really, really bad about drinking water each day. So this is a good motivation for me to check off more boxes and drink more water. If you want to do a water tracker that's similar to mine, all that I do is write down the day on the left-hand side and 1 through 6 for the columns, which stands for the amount of glasses of water I want to drink each day. Since there's usually some space left on the page, I also write a little note section. So if anything comes up during the month that I want to remember, maybe a specific date that I want to remember, or just a random to-do list item, then I will make a note of it there. All right, hang in there, we're almost done. So the next page is my monthly to-do list. These are items that aren't necessarily time sensitive, but they are still things that I want to get done. So instead of bogging up my daily to-do list, I create this separate monthly to-do list. The last page of my monthly setup is my monthly reflections page. Now I love this. I just started adding this in the fall of last year and really found such a big difference in my mindset. It's so easy to go through each month and think, wow, you know what? I really didn't do a whole lot this month. I didn't really accomplish anything. And it's so easy to have that negative self-talk. But by doing monthly reflections, you can look back on your month and say, wow, I actually accomplished way more than I thought I did. And I feel like every time I do them, that's exactly what I think. I'll usually go through my phone calendar to jog my memory on the things that I actually did this month. I definitely recommend, if you're going to cut some pieces out of this tracking system, don't cut this part out because it really, really does help. The monthly reflection prompts that I use are accomplishments, big events, things I'm most proud of, things that were most challenging, how I'm different, personal struggles, what I've learned, what I want to start doing, stop doing, and continue doing this month. I will say this isn't something that I actually came up with myself. There's another YouTuber that I watch. I'll leave her YouTube channel down below. I got this idea from her, and I really can see myself doing these reflections for a very long time. If you're not the type of person that wants to do a daily gratitude journal, this is a great alternative. Now you may be wondering where I'm tracking my daily to-do list items, so that's what I handle on the next few pages. For each week, I take up 2 pages in my journal, and I keep it really simple. So I'll just write Monday and then list all of the to-do list items that I have there. As I complete each item, I will write an X over the dot to show that it's completed. At the end of each week, I will look at what I haven't accomplished, and I will either draw a forward arrow to show that it's moving on to the next week, or I will draw a backwards arrow to move it on to my monthly to-do list items if it isn't that big of a priority. The final piece that I want to mention is my monthly and yearly tracking system. So this I usually put at the very back of my notebook. And it's basically all the things that you were tracking before, but seen from a higher level overview. So just as before, I separate the section into 3 different parts: wealth, self-improvement, and also enjoyment. And for each of those goals that I track, I write them down in a monthly format. So I use this in part with my monthly reflections at the end of each month. I'll look back and see what I did really well on and what I could definitely use some work towards. So what I then do is I color in each month as green if I did really well, yellow if I just did okay, and red if I really need to work on it. And this is a really great way to track your progress on a larger scale. Well, that is my system for figuring out my goals, tracking my habits, and measuring my progress towards each goal. I really hope that you guys found this video helpful. I know I get asked all the time in my personal life how I stay so organized and how I keep track of all these different things that are going on in my life and all these different habits that I'm wanting to achieve. And this is really the method that I've been using. I think I've been using this method for maybe 2 full years now, and it's just by far the best one that I found. Now, of course, this might not be for you, and there might be a totally different method that works for you, and that's totally fine. But this is what works for me, and I wanted to share it with you in case it helps you achieve some of your 2022 goals. Something I quickly want to mention before signing out this video is that don't be too hard on yourself. I know that in 2021, I was super hard on myself. You know, I just moved to Asheville last March. I was restarting my business from the ground up, and it just involved so much work, and it still is so much work. And I definitely noticed some really bad habits starting to creep in. And consequently, I didn't prioritize the enjoyment or self-improvement goals nearly as much. By the end of last year, I was really just focused on the wealth goals, and I found that that's really just not a good way to live. So I highly recommend not getting too crazy with your goals, not being too hard on yourself if you don't achieve them, and really prioritize some of those fun things. Well, that is it for today's video, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider hitting the like button and leave me a comment. Let me know if you try this method. I would really love to hear from you guys. And of course, if you have any questions on how I track certain things or how I goal plan, any questions at all, definitely feel free to leave them down below in the comments or reach out to me directly. I'm more than happy to chat with you. Also, if you are not subscribed yet, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I have some really exciting videos for you guys planned over the next couple months that you won't want to miss. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Well, Happy New Year, and I will see you guys very soon in the next one.